Hey guys, Thomas with the Harlan Project. If you've clicked on this video, you might be considering buying a dump trailer and renting it and wondering if it's worth it. And we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to share all my experiences doing that. But first, let me tell you how I even got into it. And I really started about 2 years ago. We had our first of 3 hurricanes. And at the time, I owned this car hauler behind me. And I was using that for all of my yard waste cleanup. So every time I chainsawed a tree, I piled it on the dump trailer, on the car hauler. And you know, they go on fine and you ratchet strap them down and then you get to the dump and they don't come off fine. Now, if you've priced these things new or used, you know that there was no way I could pay that kind of money and justify letting this thing sit all summer until the next hurricane comes. So I did, well, probably what you're doing right now. I got on YouTube and I watched every video I possibly could about renting these things and thought, is this a viable side hustle for me? And I saw things like $1,000 a week, $1,500 a week, $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month. I think in my head, I quit my job already. And well, if you're doing that, seriously, man, that's awesome. Chances are it's not with one trailer and it's probably your primary gig. It's not a side hustle. So this has been a side hustle. And if that's what you're thinking, this is the video for you. We're going to learn all kinds of things about the rental business, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It'll be entertaining. Let's jump into it. So I got several categories I want to discuss. The most obvious is the dump trailer. Some things to look out for, maybe some things you can add to it, maybe some must-haves. Some tools to keep with you that's handy. Your tow vehicle, is it good enough or do you need to upgrade? And at the end, we're actually going to take one of my loads to the dump. I'm going to take you through the scale, up the hill, into the landfill, the whole process. And I'm going to tell you how I do it and give you some tips along the way. This is a 7x14 Big Tex 14,000 pound trailer, probably the most common dump trailer you're gonna see. And if you got a half-ton pickup like me, it's probably where you're gonna have to tap out at because you're gonna run out of tow rating. But it's a lot of trailer and it's got a couple of features on it I just wanna highlight. We're gonna go quick. So you can see the obvious thing here is I've raised the sides. Listen, you want wood up here. Even if you don't go as high as I do, you wanna get at least one strip of wood down here, guys, because whoever's got the skid steer and it's coming over the tractor, it's only a matter of time until they boom and hit the side of your trailer here. So that wood is actually a protector. Now, going higher, you'll never fill it that high with rock and dirt. You never will. You'll run out of weight capacity. Those are the heaviest things you're gonna tow. But if you're in junk removal or you're doing some type of yard waste or you're doing some type of demo dump, something like that, you're gonna want those sides. You're gonna get a lot more capacity. And your renter knows to ask about yards. And so you can't claim it's a 14 or 15 yard trailer unless you have those higher sides. Hear me when I say this, do not leave home without your spare tire. You absolutely need a spare tire. You're gonna be going to the landfill where there's everything that will cut your tires. In fact, you can see right there, there's actually a metal shard in my tire right there. Now, there is something else I wanna point out to you, and this is key if you're trying to size a trailer. Now, most are gonna have a gross vehicle weight rating tag. Just check that. But as a rough, loose rule of thumb, okay, count your lugs. If you got 8 lugs, chances are you're at a minimum of a 7,000 pound axle. Obviously with 2 of them, that's 14,000. 8 lugs can go up to 8,000, 9,000 pounds, okay, but at this point, you're beyond what a half-ton truck can do. Got a heavy-duty truck? Great, take it, buy it, do it. If you see anything with 6 lugs or 5 lugs, run away. It's not for you. It's not gonna have the capacity, you're gonna have problems, your customers are gonna overload it, and you're gonna regret that. Get the bigger axles first. And do not skimp on tires. The heaviest duty tire you can get, buy it, put it on there. You'll be glad you did. Now, why I got you panned out, I wanna show you something. Not all dump trailers are created equal. Notice the distance I have behind my rear axle and the back of the bed. I'm not saying that's better. It may just be better for what you have for a tow vehicle. Let me try to explain. Now, there are some brands that you'll notice, pay attention, those axles are actually set further back to the box, and maybe they even have a longer tongue. Well, naturally, if more of your box is ahead of the axles, you're gonna put more tongue weight on your tow vehicle. You got a heavy duty truck? I mean, probably not an issue. If you got a half ton like mine, it's only a matter of time. It's gonna be an issue. Now, what does that help you with? Well, if you're loading equipment in this a lot, having those axles further back will help keep you from getting lift in the rear of your truck. But that's an easy fix, guys. Easy fix. You can actually weld on some tubing, drop some 2-inch box tube down there with a foot peg or even a jack. You can get the little, it's an easy solution where you'd actually just create a little support right here in the back. So that's not something I was even considering or looking for when I was getting into this business, but it is something I've realized over time. Know where those axles are at. They will matter depending on your tow vehicle. Okay, I thought I was done with that topic, but I should say one other thing because somebody's gonna comment about this. But a trailer with a longer tongue and the axles further back, it's gonna tow better. It's gonna help with preventing trailer sway from having too much weight in the back because you're gonna have those axles further back. That is a pro. It's not something I'm too worried about. If you're traveling long distances a lot, maybe it's something you wanna consider. In dump trailer design, there is a good, better, best, and this is the middle of the road. This would be the better version of it. It's called a scissor lift. It's a very common design. It's been around a long time. Sort of the, good, if you will, or lower economy model is typically one that has 2 rams, and they'll push from the outer frame here up, one on each side. Now, I don't have any experience with those guys, but they are generally considered to be the least desirable. And I think part of it has to do with where they push from the box itself. If you look at where they're mounted, they're leaving about 50% of the box in front of the leverage point, in front of the push point. Now, if you can see here, the push point on the scissor lift is further forward. So probably 35, 40% of the box is still left out in front of the scissor lift, but it has a little bit more lifting leverage. The other bad part about a 2-pump design, more hoses, more pumps, more seals, more things to go wrong, right? And they have to work together. So if you lose one, I'd have to imagine your trailer's not gonna lift. Now, the most desirable, and I don't know how long it's been around, I think it's a relatively new design. It's been around forever in dump trucks, but it's the telescopic pull. And it's really the one that makes most sense, guys. There's no arguing it. It is the best design. It's the most expensive design. But if you were lifting up a wheelbarrow, where would you pick from? The handles to give you leverage. You're gonna pick from actually out front of that wheelbarrow. Well, the way the telescopic design works, it lifts from the front of the box and then it pushes from here. You can find a number of great videos on YouTube where they overload the telescopic trailers and that thing just performs. It just lifts, it never gets stuck. Now, I am doing this for 2 years and a lot of use. I've never had this one get stuck. It has always lifted, and I have 2 pretty compelling stories to support just how much this can lift up. First of all, one time in particular, my truck was bottomed out. There was so much load on the front of this trailer that it bottomed the truck out. It is a 150, I understand, but it bottomed the truck out. I couldn't even get my jack stand up. That's how much weight was on the front of this trailer. Well, how did I solve that problem? I hit my magic button, lifted the box up, not quite like you see, a little less of an angle. And what that does is it starts to shift the weight behind the axles. Remember earlier we talked about axle placement? If my axles were further back, that would have been harder to create that. I think I could have done it, but I would have required a more vertical lift to shift the weight to the back of the trailer to then lift up so I could get my trailer jack up. Well, in that situation, I only had to lift it about here. Once I had my trailer jack up, I just kind of bumped it in reverse and shifted the load. And then that allowed me to level out the trailer and have a happy tow home. But this thing lifted it. Despite that being bottomed out, it lifted it. I'll give you a second story. It's actually this pile right here behind me. You see it over here. That just came from down the street. Somebody was donating that to me for a road project I have. Really frustrated me. A so-called professional dirt guy totally overloaded this trailer. Take a look at the rear bumper down there, that last piece of steel, the lowest part that's currently about 6 inches above the ground. Well, that trailer was so overloaded and so heavy that when I lifted this thing up, that sunk into the ground to the point where I couldn't pull my truck forward. It was acting like an anchor. And this scissor lift still lifted it. You get trailer builders who will highlight, you need to have an I-beam, it needs to be fully box tubed. Yes, those are better. But here's what I have to say about that, guys. Don't be a knucklehead. Don't be a knucklehead with your trailer. This trailer is 10 years old and no failure. So the trailers are designed to hold their weight rating, in this case, a 14,000 pound trailer. A lot of trailers will have a solar panel up here to charge the battery. That is a wonderful upgrade and they're so cheap now, you should just put one on. The only reason why I don't have one on here is I keep my trailer undercover. I just have a simple marine battery charger that I keep in here, and that's how I keep mine charged. I have an outlet out here that I can plug into, and I have never had problems with this. I have dumped this trailer, I think 5 times in a day. And that was when I was doing all my tree work out here, cleaning up after the hurricanes. And this trailer was heavy, full of logs of oak. And 5 times I dumped it, not recharging it, not leaving it in my truck running, nothing, and never had a problem. So for my use, not an issue. Now I think if I was, 5 times a day, every day, I'd probably want all the resources I could get so that battery was constantly charging, plus your battery will last longer. Now if you're going big and you're buying new, then one thing I seriously recommend upgrading is your deck. Most trailers are gonna come with a 10 gauge deck. I'm pretty sure that's what this one is. And some brands offer an upgrade to a 7 gauge. That's a big difference. I'll put a clip right here. Take a look at my floor. It is doing the ocean. So after 10 years of use, it's had some weight in it, and especially back here, it's starting to show. So do you buy a bumper pole trailer or a gooseneck? And if you've got a heavy duty truck, you may be leaning towards the gooseneck, and I understand why. But if you get a gooseneck trailer, it's probably gonna be rated for more weight. So you might be in the 16,000 pound or 18,000 pound range. And that sounds good, except that if you've got a 3/4 ton truck, you probably have a minimum gross vehicle weight rating of 10,000 pounds. So if you got a 16,000 pound trailer behind you, your combination is 26,000 pounds. You are bumping up against the line of a CDL. In the state of Florida, 26,001 pound, you need a CDL. There are pros about the bumper pole design that I find appealing. Number one, a lot more people can tow it. So when you go to sell your trailer, you should have a wider buyer audience. But what if your buddy calls you up and says, hey, can I borrow your dump trailer? And you say, sure, it's a gooseneck. Do you have a gooseneck hitch in the back of your truck? Oh, I don't. Can I borrow your truck too? I mean, these are questions you're gonna face. So if you got a bumper pole, generally any truck can tow it. So how about your tow vehicle? This one's easy, guys. You run what you brung. If you've got a 1/2 ton truck, or maybe you already have a heavy duty truck, run it. Do not run out and get a heavy duty truck just because you wanna get into this business. If you start towing every single day, get yourself a heavy duty truck. Until then, run what you brung. These 1/2 tons, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, it doesn't matter. They'll all tow a house. They'll tow that 14,000 pound trailer fine. It's the braking you have to worry about. So make sure your trailer's got good brakes. And that's where I say if you're gonna be towing every day, get a heavy duty truck. But you're not gonna max out that trailer and probably not max out your tow rating with just general junk and demo, house demo, and yard waste. And let me underscore general yard waste, because if somebody's putting big oak logs in there, well, that trailer's gonna get heavy, but you can control that. The only thing that you're gonna put in this trailer that's really gonna push the limits is dirt and gravel. And you can control that just by telling them, hey, I only want 4 tons, 3 tons, whatever it is, whatever you'd be adding to the base weight of the trailer that would be at the max weight of your truck. Let's talk about what is probably the most important thing, and that's revenue and expenses. And I'll give you the quick tip for revenue. Just go to Facebook Marketplace, search dump trailer, see what the average rental rate is. 7x14 like this around my area, it's only about 200 to 250 bucks. Now, my average dump fee, I average about 2 tons, maybe a little less per rental, but my average dump fee is right around 40 to 50 bucks. So go on Facebook Marketplace, search dump trailer, get an average, be conservative, then call up your dump and find out what they charge for demo per ton. And just use a rule of thumb of 2 tons, and that'll give you per load what you'll likely make. Now that's just profit from revenue minus 1 expense. But remember, you've got drive time there, drive time back, time unhooking, hooking up, time going through the scale, time going up the hill. So you've got some hourly rate there. You also have expenses for insurance, and then you just have general maintenance on the trailer. So all things you need to consider. Now, if you do Google ads or something like that, you'd probably get a lot more rental, but you got to pay for that. Remember that. So factor that into your expenses. I only use Facebook, so it's free. And I'd say I get about an average rental, 1 rental per week. I know. And that depends on your area. Remember, I'm saturated, so I'm losing market share. But there's something with the algorithm in Facebook. I don't know how it works, guys. But I will get a hit, say, on Monday. And if I get a hit Monday afternoon, then you better believe I'll get 3 or 4 hits that same week. And you know I can't serve all of them because you can basically only rent a trailer to 1 person per day. That's just logistics. It's just how it works. But I'd say over the course of time, probably average 1 rental a week. And after about 2 years, this trailer's paid for itself. And so now I'm actually picky about how far I'll drive and what I'll actually allow in the trailer, and that's a pretty nice convenience. So my primary revenue is renting my trailer where I drop it off and pick it up for people who are getting rid of yard waste and demo material. But there are other revenue opportunities. You could do rock delivery, you could do dirt delivery, you could do junk removal, you could do equipment delivery. A number of people reach out to me wanting to rent my trailer as if I was U-Haul, meaning they pick it up for me and they tow it with their vehicle and take it for the day. That could certainly be lucrative and it doesn't require your time, but people will abuse your trailer. I think you're asking for trouble, bent axles, overloaded, broken hydraulics. People don't know what they're doing. And so that's just a fear of mine and why I don't do it. And the only reason why I don't do some of those other things is really my time availability. Now, where I am, there's really not a market for rock delivery and dirt delivery because all of our local places around here have a delivery service where if I call them up and I want 5 tons, they'll just say 50 bucks, we'll deliver it to you. I can't do that. Nobody could stay in business only charging 50 bucks. They can because they're making a profit on the material. Now, I haven't been asked to do equipment delivery yet, but I'm really not sure I even want to do that because I'm taking possession of somebody's piece of equipment, which means I'm responsible for it while it gets loaded on and unloaded. And I'm not saying that's wrong if you want to do it. I'm just saying for what my goals are with this trailer, that's not something I want to do. I know you hear some people doing the junk removal business, and that is absolutely a market I have here. The reason why I don't do that, guys, is junk removal here means these hands are going to work. And it's not that I don't want to use these hands, but for me to come clean out your house, that's me hauling my trailer there and my back and these hands on a full day's work loading this trailer. What happens when I get to the couch? Well, now I need help. Now I need a laborer. Now I got to pay them. Now I have the logistics and the headache of making sure my hired help shows up on time. That's just not something I've really been interested in. Sounds like the storm's coming. I have a few tools here that I keep in my truck full time, and I got a few more that are missing that I normally keep in here. I just got a basic hammer over here. A 5-pound sludge is even better. You never know when you're gonna have to break something up to get it to fall and lay flat. I got an oversized hitch here, 17,000 pounds, way more than this truck can handle, but that's because down here, my B&W hitch taps out at 10,000 pounds. So if I got a really heavy load, dirt, rock, whatever, I bump up to the bigger hitch. Get yourself a set of wheel chocks, guys. You never know when you're gonna be on a slanted driveway. I got these at Harbor Freight, I don't know, 10 years ago. They're not very expensive. A shovel is great. Trust me, you want a shovel. Some things that I don't have here, get yourself a breaker bar and a jack. If you got an impact, great, but at least a breaker bar and a jack, you're gonna get stuff in your tires. You're gonna be changing tires. It's only a matter of time. So for that matter, maybe you want a tire plug, maybe you want a little air pump that you can take, but the number one thing that you want is a Sawzall. Keep a Sawzall in your truck because you never know when you arrive and there's a mountain of whatever on top of your trailer and you need to cut that tree branch down or you need to cut the cherry leg off, whatever it is, so that you can get it to fall, so that way you can get your tarp over. So now that I've been doing this for a little while, I got a list of questions that I ask, and perhaps the most important one is, what material are you dumping? Guys, you wanna know what they're dumping, because if it's something heavy like dirt or sod or brick or a block or something like that, adjust your rate up front. Your dump fee is gonna be much higher. Shingles are another one. Those are typically pretty heavy. But it's also your opportunity to warn them and say, hey, we don't accept tires. We don't accept environmentally sensitive things. We don't accept appliances. Yes, they're all in your service agreement. They won't read a lick of it, not one word. If you've made it this far and you're already in the rental business, I need you to do me a favor and do the other viewers a favor and comment below your best, worst story. Tell me that time when you couldn't believe what somebody did to your trailer, what it was that was in it, how overloaded it was, whatever it was that day you said, I'm done with this business, because I know all of you have had that day. I know I promised you a ride along and I'm gonna give you that. We're gonna do that on the next video. This one is just getting way too long. So do me a favor and make sure you subscribe so you can catch that footage. It's gonna help you understand the rental business. I go through the scale, up the hill to the top of the landfill. I give you tips, things to think about, even some hazards that could impact your bottom line for your rental business. So make sure you come back for the next video. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope this video gave you a ton of value so you can make an informed decision about your dump trailer purchase. We'll see you on the next one, and God bless you guys.